Hey guys, Nova here. The Bouncer released a couple weeks ago and posted my runs against Bujin while using Bouncer and made a skill tree guide as well. This video will cover what I have built for Bouncer's jet boots and soaring blades, and armors too. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for jet boots, I'm currently using Strago boots. The reason why I'm using this weapon is because I like the overall damage output you deal with this type of weapon. I would use Evil Coat and Resurger boots, but it is kind of irrelevant to me now because of how I play jet boots. Even though I know that step countering on jet boots can deal a lot more damage, it's kind of useless if you're fighting while airborne with jet boots, and if you sidestep in the air, you'll just fall down and you probably will miss a chance of hitting a weak point if the weak point's like up there somewhere, like Daddle Sword's chest or something. But yeah. So that's why I tend to use the jet boots weapon action a lot. Jet boots weapon action is activatable at any time, either on the floor or while airborne. Resurger is good, but I lose a lot if I'm constantly fighting while airborne. So if I sidestep and fall down to the floor, and if I do get the counter off and get the crit from the Resurger, it's good, but I feel like I'm losing a lot more than just, you know, constantly staying airborne and spamming weapon action. Evil Code is good if I was spamming the Photon Blast or wanting to charge it faster. The damage output on the Evil Code weapons is good too, don't get me wrong, but yeah. So, and obviously I would augment the weapons as tech because Bouncer jet boots scales off of tech. So for soaring blades, I stuck with Resurger. I do plan on building the Strago blades later, but I'm mainly using Resurger to actively get the extra crit chance on each step counter. And now, the Soaring Blades has only one option for counter attacking, and well, you know, it is step countering, and that's the only option. And I did not want to heavily rely on the Fanatic Blade active because of how good it can be. Even though, when this video goes live, I know that I know that the active recently got nerfed. I don't know how bad it got nerfed, but I know it did get nerfed. But yeah, but like I said before, I would build the Struggle Blade later in the future, but I'm not sure about Evil Coat, only because I don't spam the Photon Blast enough as I should be. And I feel like if you're not using the Evil Coat just for the Photon Blast itself, I feel like you're losing a lot more damage than when you're using the Photon Blast for the other weapons. But you get the idea. So the Soaring Blades scales off melee, like I said in my guide video, and boots scales off tech. As for my armors, I have 3 sets, as you can see here, or 1 for tech, 1 for melee, Qualda Armor Arga, and Sheza. And I have 3 Gant armor pieces here also. I recently built these 3 armor pieces only because I feel somewhat confident of my countering abilities, so I can safely use it, even though it's gonna make me a glass cannon character, but I feel okay using 3 sets. Even though it's gonna give me a bunch of debuffs if I get hit like once or twice, it's worth the risk, right? You're dealing bonus damage, but you're also taking bonus damage in a way. But anyways, so I have Arga and Sheza. Before switching to Gant armors, I was using these. My Gant armor is affixed with, or augmented with tech. So before I was using Sheza. I'm still using Arga for my Soaring Blades. I have not built a Gant set for my melee attacks yet. So, and this is another thing. Like I mentioned in my guide video, this is quote-unquote crucial of how you build, or not how you build, how you play Bouncer. So if you play Bouncer with Soaring Blades only,
eradication of dolls in accordance with Defense Directive confirmed.
You would
Thank you for your contribution to the mission.
build your armors with melee affixes, right? Or melee augments. Either way is still the same terms of augmenting, but yeah. My Arga is affixed with melee, as you can see here, with bonus melee damage. The sword means melee, the gun means range, and then the little rod icon over here means technique damage. These 3 pieces are affixed with melee, the Sheza pieces are mostly augmented with tech. My Giant armor pieces are also augmented with tech, but with better damage output. But the only downside for the Giant armors is that you're completely vulnerable if you get hit with a status element, no matter what it is. So if you're playing Storm Blades only, build your armor with melee affixes. It doesn't matter what armor pieces you're using, just make sure you're augmenting melee onto them. If you're playing Jet Boots for the tech, make sure you're augmenting your armors for tech affixes. It doesn't matter what it is or what armor pieces it is, as long as you're affixing tech onto them. And if you're building hybrid, however, there are augments that provide both melee and technique damage. I feel like that's a lot harder, but I feel like there's not many affixes out there that can combine the two, and you're potentially losing damage in a way. So for my skill tree for my bouncer, I put 1 point into everything, even the ones with that has more than 1 point to them, like Declan Amplifier and Fanatic Blade Augment, except for Defeat Amplifier and Partial Destroy Advantage. Partial Destroy Advantage is only good if you're focusing on destroying parts on the bosses, right? So if you're planning on destroying the chest on the Daidal Sword, this is good for that. If you're planning on breaking the tail on the next Alio boss, this is good for that. So on and so forth, right? And then Defeat Amplifier, even with 1 point, this still increases the chances of downing the bosses, right? Or I'm pretty sure normal enemies can't even be downed, but you get the idea. But yeah, this is basically my tree. Everything invested, or I put every point into all of these, just 1 point into Defeat Amplifier and Partial Destroy Advantage. So I feel like if you were only if you're going to play like one out of the two, or one weapon out of the two, whether it be Jet Boots or Storm Blades, I feel like you can put more points into Defeat Amplifier and just leave this as one, or not put points into this at all. But yeah, this is basically how I built my bouncer. My subclass is Fighter, only because Fighter subclass perks is dealing bonus damage to downed enemies, which is pretty good. But yeah, this is how I built my bouncer. This is basically to give a general idea of how to build bouncer, but as to how you build it, it is completely up to you. You don't have to follow my footsteps, but I hope this helps. But yeah, if you find this video helpful, I'd appreciate a like, sub to the channel for more PSO2 content, and as always, happy grinding.